sales organization, you want 60% or better of your business coming from referrals.
And so now I'm learning that things are not so straightforward like that. That's coming with time, maturity, emotional intelligence.
I started getting into the environment hunting at 7.
Oh, wow.
Because I started to shoot the bow, bow and arrow and learning that.
What I learned is that people don't like the scripted version of you.
Well, guess what? That building was 100% leased, fully spoken for prior to certificate of occupancy.
I think that people don't see that. They just think, like exactly how you said, like it's just like, oh, I just woke up here.
There's two sides to passion, right? There's a harmonious side and there's an obsessive side.
Sometimes you expect the punch because that leaves the person open. So, I knew where to take my hits. I knew when to duck.
He looked at me straight in my face and told me, listen, I'm good whether you make it or you don't. I'm good. You're not.
Welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest is the amazing Dahiana Payano with Hi. Hi. Dahiana here is a real estate agent with Real. She's part of the Opulent team out in New Jersey. And I've been watching a lot of your content, and your content for some reason is like always popping, right? Like you got because you've got like dance moves, and then you've got like content, and then you're also like, properties that you're showcasing. Then you always got, a lot going on in the real estate world. So I was like, with everything going on with NAR's recent settlement, and there's a lot of people just dragged down, it's like a lot of people are not really motivated right now. Some are. People who have activity are, right? But then it's kind of like to see somebody who's so vibrant and excited about what they're doing. I think that's the energy that we need right now. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So how have you been? How's everything? Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we got to meet. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me. But everything has been great. I just been trying to work until I don't have to work anymore. Because that's the goal. That's the bottom line. Work until you don't have to work. Do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do.
There it is. Yeah, for sure. Right. So tell me, okay, there's a lot of things. I want to be real, right? And I want to be like as honest as possible with this. Real estate is not all it's cracked up to be. Sales is not all it's cracked up to be. There's like days where, especially with everything that's been going on with interest rates, where people are struggling and it's tough, right? And you're out in a different market where it's like it's more, I'd say, single family homes, right? And maybe some rentals. What's the vibe like right now in New Jersey on the real estate side, like on the residential side?
Well, on the it's still a hot market. It's still a seller's market. There's no inventory. There's more single family homes on the market than multifamily. So if you're trying to find yourself a buyer of multifamily, you're having a harder time with that because multifamilies are super hot. They're going right away. They don't last a week on the market. So it's still very hot. It's still a seller's market. And all this talk about the interest rates dropping, it's going to remain a seller's market. People are waiting for the prices to drop on houses. They shouldn't be waiting for that. They should just be waiting right now. Like if you're waiting for interest rates to drop, I don't even think you should wait for that as a buyer. Like why wait for the interest rates to drop? Because then more buyers are going to come. Sellers are going to be like, oh yeah, so now I can hike up my prices even more. And then yeah, exactly. And then you're buy this house at a low interest rate. There's like no opportunity to refinance. You're there at the bottom versus like when you're buying like now, where it's not that many buyers out there, still a lot because of the inventory shortage, but you still have a good chance now if you compare it to what's going to happen if those interest rates drop. So if you buy now at these interest rates that are a little bit higher than what is foreseen to them to be later, you later can now refinance and get a little savings going on, get a little equity once interest rates drop. I think people shouldn't be waiting at this point in time. The market is still hot. It's always, especially if you're a renter. I mean, if you renter and you have to rent, I understand, but always the goal it should be to purchase. I try
Nice.
to tell everybody that's renting, okay, rent for now, but get something that's your own, you know, that you're going to be paying monthly, and that monthly payment that you're making is turning out to become an investment and not
Yeah.
just like money being thrown into the garbage.
Yeah. On the bus. I seen one of your reels when you were like throwing in the basura, right?
Yeah, en la basura. That's where it's going.
Right. You're throwing your money in the trash, basura, the trash, garbage, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so compared to last year, right? Were you busier this time last year, or are you busier this time like this year? Where do you see like you were
I
busiest?
mean, I feel like it's I feel like I'm always busy in
Yeah.
different things, you know. I'm just kind of doing what comes my way. Last year, August, I wasn't too busy with real estate because I just had my baby girl in
Ah,
June, so I was still kind of like in my fresh postpartum stage. But
okay.
I had just switched over to real because I knew I wanted bigger and better opportunities. So
Yeah.
I was, you know, kind of laying low, still
Right.
working what I can, but still laying low and trying to get as much knowledge that these people at Real at the Opulent group were pouring out to me. So I was just
Yeah.
trying to, you know, take all that in to then, you know, put it out later on, which I am now, you know, I'm
Nice.
putting it into
Yeah.
practice now.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So you're a new mom, right? Baby girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have this is one of three you mentioned, yes?
One of three. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how do you find the time to manage all of this?
Hmm. Sometimes I feel like God extends days for me because I'm
Yeah.
like, I just did all of that in this
Yeah.
time. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I got so like some days feel like, oh my God, I can't do and I can't have anything done. There's not enough time in one day. But
Yeah.
then sometimes I look back at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I did all of that in one day. And all I do is thank God for that because I literally feel sometimes that God extends days for me.
Yeah.
I don't know
Wow.
where I find the time. I just, you know, I'm a person of faith and a big believer. So I all my strength and my everything that I do, I put God first. So I feel like
Nice. Amen.
he plays a great part in my accomplishments
Yeah.
and the way I do what I do and what I can do with everything on my plate, I still make it happen.
I love that. I love that. So like time management is big, right? Because it's like real estate is like, yes, it's a career. Yes, it's something you do. Yes, it's something you're probably really passionate about because you love to help people and you love to do, you like sales, I'm sure, right? But then like time management, right? And then getting into like three different roles, four different roles, right? Because it's like, selling real estate, being a mom of three, different personalities, right? And then you got to deal with buyers, probably renters. So it's like easy
Yeah.
to relate with them because there's probably a lot that you can relate to when you're dealing with, buyers or renters, either one, right?
Hmm.
Let me ask you this. It's really intimidating to do all those things, right? It's like crazy intimidating. Why did you jump into real estate? Why did you jump into sales? Like, what were you thinking?
I mean, I like working with people. I've
Yeah,
noticed that. I love talking to people, meeting new people, working with people, helping people out. I've always been that person.
yeah,
And some of my previous jobs were in sales. I mean, different kinds of sales. Like, um, I did waitressing. That's sales. I did furniture
yeah,
sales. So, I was always in kind of like the business of sales and talking and helping people. Like, I'm a teacher. I'm a dance teacher and I've been teaching dance for a long time, which is dealing with students and adults and
yeah,
parents and, you know, being able to communicate with them. So I've had the people skills.
yeah.
So the way I ran into real estate was very like accidental. I was just going to like open houses for fun.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I'm about to check
Nice.
out this house. It looks good." And
Yeah,
then like kind of just walking in, you know, I of course I would let the agent know sometimes, like, I'm just looking, like, don't waste your time unless they wanted to walk me through, like, great. But I
right.
found that it was really cool. Um, and then I started learning more about it, like, wow, this is like okay, you get a commission over this, like a big commission. That sounds good, you know? So then I was like,
Yeah,
you know, I'm gonna just go for it. I took my course. I passed my test on the first try by the grace of God. Like,
yeah,
goodness gracious, that test was hard. But we did it, we made it, and now we're here. And I found that I actually love this business because it
yeah.
has so many avenues to offer.
Right.
So I'm I just kind of like ran into it, and I feel like everything that I've been doing before was kind of preparing me for this moment. Sometimes we don't know why we're going through what we're going through, but low key is preparation for your future.
For the next step. Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
remember when I first found real estate, it was like I didn't even know it was what it was, you know what I mean? Because I was doing like construction work and I was like, doing demo. It was like during the summer, it was like hot months, and we were like doing
Oh
you
my
can pick
God.
up like construction during the months, you know what I mean? During the summer months, like in between schools. So then I remember being like covered in like, dirt and covered in like sawdust. And
Yeah.
me and the guys were just like, chilling, drinking, working, breaking down walls and stuff. And then just like, these foreign cars just pull up, clean, pristine. And like these guys are pulling up and they're all fresh with suits and the women wearing like suit pants and everything. And I was like, whoa. And they were the real estate agents. And they were like not like real hard, like flex, right? Like they came through with the foreign cars and everything. And I was looking at them like, what? Like, that's not even right. Because they were so young, and they
Yeah.
seemed like, they weren't even working that hard. It seemed easy.
Hmm.
So then like one of them, I remember we were doing a tour and I had to show them around this house that we had finished renovating. And they
Hmm.
were like, "Oh, you ever think about getting in real estate?" I was like, "Nah, that's not for me." But in my mind, I'm thinking, "Nah, I need to look into that,"
Hmm.
because like I saw the cars they were driving. I remember one of them pulls up in an S550, and that's what got me, right?
Hmm.
Like he pulls up in an S550, like three-piece suit, and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to look into this, right?
Yeah.
So it was like for me, it was more about like the appeal of it all. But then I
Hmm.
realized like later on down the line, it wasn't really the appeal. It's more about the people. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And I think that's where you're at, where it's like everything that you do, it is centered around people. Like the dancing, that's people, right? Everything is like, being a mom, you're people oriented in order to do that, right? Being like even working with kids is like, that's people oriented. Buyers, renters, sales is about people, right?
Hmm.
And you're very like personable, right? I'd say people probably do. Okay, let me ask you this, right? Because it's like it's tricky, right? To get leads, you got to do a lot of cold calling. You got to like, do a lot of social media, right? Do you get more from cold calling or do you get more leads from like just people coming to you, like referrals?
I've gotten a lot from, well, when I first started, it was like open houses. And
Yeah.
then the people that I got from open houses referred me.
Okay.
Then I started working like my sphere.
All right.
Cold calling has now been introduced to me by my team leaders, which is amazing because then
Yeah.
I've also gotten some leads from cold calling. Social media is just kind of like I haven't yet generated any real leads from. I've
From
probably
social.
got like one or two,
Yeah.
um, but I haven't really generated like a good amount. Like, okay, social media is like my lead generator. No, it hasn't
Yeah.
gotten to that point. Right now,
Yeah.
it's just kind of to have something to show when you get searched. So like if someone, it's in my business card, like my Instagram. So when they go
Yeah.
and look at that, they see who I am. So it's kind of now just kind of like a business card or like the back
Yeah.
into my business card, get to know me a
Yep.
little bit more type of thing when
Right.
it comes to social media. As far
Yeah.
as lead generating, I haven't gotten there yet where my social media is generating me leads.
Yeah.
Um, Going back, it's just been a lot of referrals, being at the right place at the right time, having conversations, working my sphere. That's that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So what you're saying to me is you're not one of those people who just like pop it up and saying, I can sell you a house. Are you looking for a house? You're not one of those people.
No, no, no,
Right?
that's not me.
Yeah, like you're not one of those people at a networking event giving out your business card. Like I sell real
Oh,
estate. I sell real
no,
estate.
if we're going to a networking event, I'm talking and I'm giving out my
Okay.
business card and I'm seeing how we can work with each other. Usually
Yeah.
like the networking events that I go to, it's mostly you run into the real estate agents, you run into the lenders, you run into the title
Yeah.
people. So those people are just like, what do you have that I can offer my clients, you know?
Yeah.
That sort of like communication. And I do hand out my business card at networking events. I love attending networking events because I feel like, your network is your net worth, right? That's what
Yeah.
it's called. Yeah.
1000%.
So
Yeah.
so I do like going to those events and handing out my business cards there. And I
Yeah.
do still use physical business cards.
Do
You know,
you?
like
Okay.
yeah, I'm old
Yeah.
school. I still do my
Yeah.
paper planner and all that good stuff.
Yeah. No, me too. I'm the same way. I'm pretty old school too. So here's what's funny, right? I think You ever watch those TV shows like say like $1 Million Listing or like what's the other one?
Selling
Sell it like
Sunset.
yeah, all of those, right? Is that
Yeah.
realistic? Like that's like it's to you, like in with everything you're going through. How realistic would you say that is? Like, what's the craziest deal that you've ever done since you've been in the game, right? Like the
All right.
craziest deal.
All right. Okay. So going into like those shows, I feel like it's more drama filled than real estate. I
Yeah,
mean, I do appreciate when they start showing these houses and they're walking and talking in these homes or like bitching at each other within this
yeah,
beautiful house. I can look past the drama, past the bitching, and see the beautiful kitchen that they're sitting in, or I
right,
get to see like that is in California, so I get to see some real estate from California
right,
there, plus some entertainment. So that I don't know how real that is. They don't really talk too much about like how they market, generate leads. So it's not for like education purposes.
right.
It's more for
Entertainment,
entertainment purposes. And I don't know
right,
how real that is. That's kind of just like putting up that like that or like what you saw when you were doing construction, what they came
right,
up and who they were, and kind of like to motivate you, hey, you could be selling these multi-million dollar listings or whatever. So kind of
right.
like at that on that aspect.
Yeah,
But going to the craziest deals, I had a few. My first one was pretty crazy for being my first one.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so I got this lead working an open house, and he came. The house that I was hosting an open house was like $800,000 in Wayne, and then he
Okay.
came and he's looking, he likes it, and we exchanged contact infos. Turns out he's actually selling his home. So I'm like,
Ah,
"Ooh, I just got a seller lead on the spot. Like
yeah.
my first time working at an open house,
Yeah.
already a seller's lead." His
Nice.
house was in Hawthorne, right?
Okay.
Yes, Hawthorne. So I ended up getting a seller lead, and I never worked seller leads before. Like
First
I'm
one.
brand spanking new. Like this is
Yeah.
still in 2020. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I wasn't gonna let him know that. So
Right.
but yeah, so then it turns out he didn't want to buy the one in Wayne, so I started looking for him while putting his home on the market. I
Yeah.
started looking for him, and he found something in Hawthorne still, so his kids were able to stay in the same school systems, and it was ranch style, which is kind of what he needed because he had a disabled child. So she was in a wheelchair, so it was really nice for her to get around the house in the winter because
Yeah.
it's one level. So we got to meet all his needs. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. He would not have known, his family would not have known that I was new until one thing.
Oh
I
yeah.
forgot. Well, not that I forgot. I just didn't know and didn't have the right guidance because where you hang your license, who you're being taught by is really, really important
Yeah,
because
for
it can
sure.
make or break you.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the right guidance. I didn't know that I needed a CO to close. Like now it's like, oh, you need a
Right.
CO to close. But me being a newbie, I didn't know that. So
Dang.
we
That's one
had
way
to
to learn.
push. Yeah, so at that point I had to say, guys, I'm so sorry. We need to push the closing to like 2 days later. We still need a CO. I didn't apply for it. I'm gonna get it rushed.
Right.
Like disclosure, you're my first deal ever. So
So you had to keep it
they're
real
like,
at
oh
that
my
point.
God, you're kidding. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like really, they were a little bit upset
Yeah.
because the house that they were buying, somebody in cash was after it.
Yeah.
A $750,000 sale, a house, they were after that in cash. Like how you got that? Like,
Oh,
okay,
the house that they were
great.
gonna buy after they sold this
Yeah,
one.
so somebody was trying to take it away from them. And the
Right.
sellers were trying to sell right away. They were about to say, you know what, whatever, like, we hadn't received like a time of essence contract or whatever, but they were
Right.
pressuring us to close, and we're trying to get all these things done, and then all of a sudden this delay comes because of me. Because I
Bro,
wasn't
wow.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. So I had
Well,
to
I
let
mean,
them
it's
know.
not you, right? It could have been the attorney. I'm thinking like it could have been the attorney.
No, well,
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
everybody
Well,
kind of has to work together, but
right.
primarily everything falls on the real estate agent. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah, yeah. But you were new. So I'm like, if you were on my team and I was like, showing you the ropes, that's why you're saying with that point that you made was like really important. Where you hang your license is really important. Cause
Who
like,
you have teaching you is so important because it
yeah,
can make or break you. It can make and break
right,
your deal, your reputation. Um,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
So
so I didn't
you
have
played
it
that
right.
out real nice. I like how you played it out where you were straight up like, yo, this is my first deal. And this is you just being real. You were being transparent, right?
Honesty
It's
is the best policy at the end of the day. I kind of wanted to be like, oh, I'm still new at the beginning, but they told me no, Diana, don't let them know that. Stop it.
right,
I'm a
right,
good
right.
liar.
Yeah. So tell me,
But yeah,
how did the deal go? How did it end? How did it go?
so we pushed it. Luckily, it was only I went to like the City Hall of Patterson. Not
Okay.
Patterson, I'm sorry. I do too many deals in Patterson. In Hawthorne. And I was
Okay.
like crying, like, you have to do this for my buyers. You have to expedite this, please. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did. And
Wow.
instead of waiting like an extra 2 days to like the next week, because it was already like the weekend coming, so we might need to wait to the next week. We just had
Yeah.
to wait an extra. So
Okay.
that was
All
it.
right.
And they
Yeah.
closed on the same day. So it was a double closing. So my first deal,
Yeah.
over $500,000 on each side.
Nice.
I'm working
Yeah.
both ends.
Right.
It
Right.
was really nice. It was my first
Yeah.
deal. And that was a monster deal for my first one. So
That's
that kind of set the
amazing.
tone for me. So I was like, oh damn, okay. I'm really in this. Like, okay, get really into me. So, but
Right.
there's luck I'm being so
Yeah. No, that's one way to learn, right? It's like paid training. It's like on the job training right
yeah.
there. Yeah.
That
I
was a
think
good one though. That was a good crazy deal. Like crazy in a good way because there's like a happy ending. I have some that don't have happy endings either. So
right, right. That's as real as it gets right there too, right? And the fact that you
yeah.
didn't fold under pressure, like the other thing, another agent
Oh,
would have folded.
absolutely. Hell no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So that's good. And then
Absolutely
the
not.
other thing is like okay, so like now going forward, you're able to look for COs, right? To make sure you can close your deals,
Oh, for sure.
right?
I'm applying
Yeah,
like months before. No, just kidding. Like, I apply with a good amount of time
right,
before.
right. So like you sound like you're like on top of managing expectations, right? And understanding more or less what to expect. And you double ended on that deal. So hats off to you, right?
That was so
Um,
sweet.
yeah, that's a sweet deal. Do you go into more deals in Hawthorne after that, or did you get a lot of referrals after that one, or what?
Well, I didn't, again, I was new.
Yeah,
So now me knowing me being like knowledgeable how I am now, I would have gone around, door knocked around like, hey, I'm selling this home, like, got myself acquainted in the town because I've already done 2 deals in that town.
yeah,
So in the area that I sold the home, I would have, made myself know like, hey, I just sold this home. Are you trying to sell? Are you trying to buy? And in the area
right,
that I helped purchase, I would have went around, hey, I just helped my buyers purchase this home. Are you trying to sell? Are you trying to buy? Because I
right.
already had done deals in there. I could have started like farming in that area because I was in there. I planted the seeds, but
Yeah.
I didn't have the knowledge. So I didn't
Yeah.
do shit.
Right. Hey guys, welcome back. Dennis Development TV. So today I want to talk to you about world domination. Just kidding. Today I want to talk to you about recruiting, right? And you know what? As a matter of fact, you have to think like you're going to dominate the world, like you're going to conquer the entire world in order for you to find the right talent. See, Genghis Khan had the right idea. That's what people got all confused about, how to recruit. See, what Genghis Khan did is when he took over your land, he didn't just take prisoners of war, he recruited the prisoners, he trained them, and he found out what was the most important thing to them, and they joined his team, and they joined his army. That's how he took over the world. That's how he took over a majority of the world during his day. And so that recruiting approach really works. That's what you want to do when you're looking for talent. You want to find people who have a specific need, who can identify with your cause, with your mission, that they have a particular talent, a skill set that they can use to amplify and bring your business out into the marketplace, to maximize the exposure of your business. That's what recruiting is really about. It's not about just finding people and giving them a paycheck, putting them to work. And I want you to understand, if you're looking for a position, if you're looking for a job, it's not about just reporting to work, collecting a paycheck, and doing the bare minimum. It's about over-delivering every single time. Now, if you're gonna do that as a talent, the employer has to do that for you just the same. So you're talking, if you're looking for a 9-to-5 job in the workforce, you want to have a robust benefits package. You want to have, a good compensation plan. And it goes hand in hand with your performance. Now in the performance-based industry, it's kind of like there is no cap to how much you can earn, and you can make as much money as possible in your respective industry. So you got to think about always be recruiting. When you're out there, who has a mindset that you're looking for? Who has visions, a goal for themselves, for their family, for their children, for their community? Always be recruiting, scouting talent. And the key word here is talent. What are they really, really good at? What are their skill sets? And how can they help you and your business? And in turn, how do you help them become a better individual? That's why I created my top talent recruiting program. We source top talent throughout the country. Okay, I have access to people who are in the sales industry, whether they're in the performance-based industry, insurance sales, mortgages, real estate, HVAC, you name it. I have access to sales guys throughout the country. We also focus on healthcare, social work, community organization, you name it, we have access to these candidates. And what we do is we pre-screen every candidate to find out where their skill sets are, what they're looking for when it comes to long-term employment, and how they intend to provide value to their potential employer. So check out the website, Dennis Development, that's DENIS Development, coachingservices.com. Schedule your free coaching call so you can learn more about my top talent recruiting program. Continue to raise the bar. That's just how it goes.
I was so happy. That was the biggest paycheck I ever had in a while.
Nice. Yeah.
So I didn't do that because nobody told me, okay, now you have to work this. You just planted like some really big seeds here. Farm it. You know, this is how you farm it. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to say. Oh, they tell you this. Well, you come back at them with that, you know?
Yeah, rebuttals all day.
And it's frustrating, like still a little bit, you know, kind of still strikes a nerve. Like when I think back at it, like, damn, you really couldn't, like, you know, I didn't have the right guidance at that moment where I felt like I was really doing well.
Yeah, yeah. How did you end up at okay, so like here's the other thing I want to understand too, right? Because it's like, how do you not quit after that, especially after like with COVID? Like what keeps you coming back into it, right? What keeps you coming back?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I
Yeah.
mean, those deals and all the other deals that, you know, drive me nuts, the ones with happy endings, the ones with no happy endings, and those deals I fall through, the nightmares, the you know, all that, I'm still alive. It didn't kill me, so I am better from it. I take it as just like a learning curve. It's only
And
blessings.
you learn a lot.
Like you learn from it. You can't let that, because then it's kind of like a test. How badly do you want this? You know, once you put it out there, God, I want to be a successful real estate agent. He's not gonna give me easy deals to close. No, he's like, oh, you really want to be a successful real estate agent? Here you go.
Yeah,
Train.
for sure.
Let's go into the trenches and start training.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? So like I remember like I was hustling, I was working at like a full-time job and I was like working part-time real estate. And I used to go door to door, right? And I would get these listings, I would get these appointments rather, not listings just yet, just appointments, right? I remember the first listing that I got, and it was like me being persistent. Like I would call every other day. I was extremely aggressive and I was just like, I would pop up and then I would like send over marketing campaign. I would send over postcards and then I would like blast them on the email and I would just show up, right? Like right around dinner time. So like 6:30, 7 o'clock. So the guy gave me the listing.
Make sure they're home, eh?
Yeah, you know they're home.
Yeah.
Right? At that time, right? So like I just pop up, I get the listing finally, and it was a beautiful house. I remember it was like one of those rare houses where it had like an addition in the back that was like it had like a deck that had a built-in pool.
Ooh,
sick house,
nice.
really nice, right? And but it wasn't legal. Was like the first thing, and I didn't know that. The second thing I didn't know was that it had a second mortgage on it, right? So like I had no idea. And so I stepped into this whole world of like these like foreclosures slash pre-foreclosures slash short sales. Like, so you never know what you're getting into based on the curb appeal. You know what I mean? Like it looks good from the outside and you get inside and it's like, it's a beautiful deal, right? Very well done. But then you get into the paperwork and you do your due diligence. Long story short, we got like two offers. Second offer was higher than the first one. And we went to contract. As we go to contract, a lien gets put on the property by the second lender, right? Which was like in second position to satisfy, right? And we didn't know. So like I'm talking to the bank, I'm talking to the first lender, and I'm figuring everything out because I have a background in social work, right? So I'm like, all right, I got to play with I got to play with everybody. I got to like talk to everybody and see what's going on. So the guy says, the seller, he says, oh, it's not going to sell. Somebody has tried to sell this before and it's never happened. And he was like, that's why I didn't want to give it to you in the beginning. I didn't waste your time. I said, but you don't know me. You don't know what I know. You don't know how hard I'll go, right? You don't know how hard I'm going to go on this. Like, I want to win and I want to get you onto because he was trying to move to Barbados, right? He was trying to retire and move to Barbados. So I called the bank and I say, can we do something about this lien? Can we try to satisfy it or something? And they say no because the number was too high. Mind you, they're in second position, right? And they know that there's not going to be any money left over to pay them. So I have to go get a higher asking price for the property so we can go ahead and get the second loan paid off. And I got lucky because a Nigerian buyer flies in and says that she'll buy the place for like, I think it was like maybe 30,000 over ask, right? She wanted to put in the offer for.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a good deal, but I'll be honest with you, that was like the worst deal. I wanted to quit after that deal because
Yeah.
everything was hanging on the line with that one deal. Everything was hanging on the line. And then what happened? I didn't quit because I needed more money. You know, and the guy called me and he was like, yo, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to move to Barbados and all of this. And I was like, oh, okay. That's when I started to learn that it was more about helping the people and it wasn't really about the paychecks. You know what I mean?
It's a
But I
good
literally
feeling. It's a
wanted
good
to quit.
feeling.
Yeah, it kind of creeps up on you. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're not in it for that. So I kind of like, I switched my whole perspective from that point, you know? But that was like one of the crazy, you remind me of that deal because it's kind of like they don't teach you that in real estate school.
They don't.
Nobody
No, I
teaches you
mean,
that.
listen, real estate school is great and all. You need it to get your license, but nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you learn terms, vocabulary,
Right.
contracts, but
Right.
like the dirty job that you have to do out there, you don't learn it until you go out into the
None of it.
field.
Yeah.
The
So you got to
process
get
of
up.
things, you don't learn it until you go out into the field.
Yeah.
Experience is the best teacher.
100%. Yeah. When did you, okay, so like, you know how like you could start working at like 14 years old, right? When did
Yeah,
you find that you
papers.
had like this hustler's gene in you? Like, when did you find you that you had that? How old were you?
I mean, I didn't start working until how old was I? I was 16. Because back in the
Okay.
day, like when I started working, it was 16 the age. I think now it's a little bit younger with some papers.
Yeah, the
I was
working papers.
16 and I started working at ShopRite and I was like the cashier. It was fun. I was like,
Okay.
when I was a little kid, I would play cashier, like beep, beep,
Right.
scanning and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like fun for me. The
Right.
time flew by, but the paycheck also was good. The paycheck brought me independence and it also helped me help my mother. So out of
Yeah.
my paycheck, as soon as I started working, I would give some to my mom to help her out, and that was a good feeling. And
Yeah.
then also having some for myself to kind of like if I'm walking down the mall or if I'm walking home from school, if I wanted to like purchase a blouse or if I wanted to purchase some snacks, I had the ability to do that. So that
Yeah.
feeling of independence was a good feeling as well. Being able to help my
Yeah.
mom to live independence, I was like, okay, I like this. I like the doors that working had
Yeah.
opened to me.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
and I just kept going and then I started finding jobs that, I liked. I started being a counselor at a camp, working with kids, playing around, like, running
Yeah.
games with
Yeah.
children. And then,
Right.
being a dance teacher, I monetized like my passion. So that
Yeah.
was good. And then it gave me, more independence, more money, more independence. And then I was doing jobs that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what made me keep going, keep working, just finding new avenues that I enjoy that was going to
Sure.
pay me each one a little bit more than the last. Because
Nice.
the goal is to just move up in life. So
Right.
that's just
Yeah.
how I just became to be a hustler, I guess. I
Yeah.
guess I could
Yeah.
consider myself a hustler.
So it's like the spirit, right? Like when you get that spirit and you realize that you can actually do for yourself and that you can actually be independent, it kind of keeps you going to want to do more, right? And then
Hmm.
being able to help your mom out, right? And just say, you know what, just I'm working and I kind of want to contribute, like that sense to being able to contribute, right?
Yes.
Like it's not even about the money, it's about being able to contribute, right?
Yeah.
What's do you think it's like today is a crazy world, right? Like I grew up where there were more traditional roles, right? And women weren't so independent, right? Women were more relying on their man, you know what I mean? And there's like a more of
Yes.
a traditional home where the mother stays home with the kids and the father goes out and works, right? Or husband or whatever. That's changed a lot. Like we're living in a different time now, right?
For
Um,
sure.
let me ask you something. If a woman who's like hustling is like, a go-getter and is a an independent, I want to say kind of woman, how hard it is it or is it necessary to kind of like turn that off and let a man take the lead? Like, is that something realistic?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
listen, if a woman is a hustler, I mean, more power to her. She doesn't
yeah,
have to sit in and like, God forbid she's in a bad relationship where the spouse is just abusive or a
yeah,
cheater, manipulator. We've some people have been there in those situations and they're unable to get out because they rely on that person,
yep,
you know? So if a
yep,
woman is a hustler and she's getting her own money, she can now set her foot down and wait for that partnership that does feed her in a good way.
yeah,
She doesn't have to stay stuck in uncomfortable situations. Okay. Money also brings freedom.
yeah.
So now, I mean, now I feel like women have to work more also is because everything's just so expensive. So housing is
Right.
streams of income,
Yeah,
if you want
yeah,
to
yeah,
survive. But again, money brings freedom, and if a woman is working and getting hers, then more power to her because then she's going to be able to make any moves as necessary.
yeah,
Now, if you do have a good partner, and they come and bring just as much to the table, and you're able to step back from that, because
yeah,
some women do what if they have kids, they retire from whatever they're doing to be a stay-at-home mom, and they're okay with that. But some women also are like, no, I gotta go back to work. I gotta go back to
right,
work.
right,
With me, I found a balance. Like I stayed home for a long time with my kids while they were babies.
yeah,
But it came to a point where like, okay, I need to get out now. Okay,
yeah,
some women are okay staying at home, being at home mom, and I applaud them. I praise them. Kudos to you, ladies, because
yeah,
being a stay-at-home mom, that shit is difficult. I don't
yeah.
know
It's
how
hard.
they can do that,
Right,
mentally, physically. It's draining. It's draining.
right.
It's another job. I do like to step out and deal with more adults, different
Yeah,
situations. So I did want to start working, and I like to bringing my own things to the table too, as
right.
long as as well as my partner, like he brings a lot to the table as well. So I feel like there's more growth happening when it's both of us bringing it to the table. And
Yeah, for
again,
sure.
it's expensive now. You do need two hustlers in a relationship if you want that relationship to grow and the life to get better after that, especially
Yeah,
with
for
children
sure.
too.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was ever designed for one person to do one, and like they were always going to be a partnership. Like it was designed that way. Like even to have a child, you
Mhm.
need two people. You know what I mean? Like everything is going to require like both partners, right? So like what you're saying is real. It's like it's true for you to have because it's like I think I'm really like into the medieval times and like a village gets raided if the women don't
I
know how to
like
fight.
that.
You know what I mean? If the women don't know how to
Yeah.
fight, they become hostages and victims. And it's like, well, you got to learn how to throw something, throw a rock, like bow and
Mhm.
arrow. You got to learn how to use a
Right.
sword. You got to be able to do something, right? To protect the
Yes.
village, to protect your young, right? And it's like even the
Yes.
lion and the tiger, they're both like predators, you know what I mean? Right.
Hmm.
And it's, for me, I think, what I've seen, especially with women who have like that hustler's mentality is like they're willing to contribute not just on the financial side, but like on everything, right? And it's like that's the way we were designed. So I think sometimes sales can kind of bring that out of you, and it's kind of like it's tricky to because it can become your identity. It's like, no, this is what I am. It's like, no, it's not what you are, it's what you do, right?
Yes.
But then you can apply that to other areas of life. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yes.
if people, especially like salespeople, can tap into, that's what I realized too with like sales. It's like you have so many different ways of making money, but it's like so many different ways of building relationships is what it boils down to. You know what I mean? And I think women at some point, not that they're better at it, but it's kind of like they understand more emotionally what some people might be going through, especially like men who, like you were talking about, and Hawthorne, he was like, he had to sell for him to buy. And it's kind of like that wasn't what he came in as, right? But you realize that and you're able to like work with that situation, not from a financial standpoint, but like from a people, human to human standpoint, right? So it's like there's a lot that women bring to the table. I think that when I was first starting out in sales, it was mostly male dominated. But now I see,
Hmm.
years down the line that there's a lot that women bring to the table in sales that you kind of need to have a woman on your team to like kind of read between the lines a lot of times, because men are more like, results oriented, driven, let's get it done now. And it's like, nah, sometimes you miss the point. And I'm not trying to like shit on men. I'm not trying to do that. But what I'm saying is there's a lot that we don't see. You know what I mean? Where you have like
Yeah,
a
we're
woman
two
come
different
in.
creations. We have
Yeah.
two different, two completely different anatomies, men and women. Like we're just
Yeah.
two completely creations. So the way we see things is definitely with a whole new perspective, a whole new eye,
Yeah.
and we can also, two heads are better than one. And
Yeah.
now two different heads. Like imagine two of the, two men. Okay, that's good. You still have two heads, but then if you have two heads, one being man and one being female, you have two different perspectives,
Yeah.
that will drive, so the women can know how to drive more women in, the men can drive more men in, and then it's a better collaboration when it's men and women versus men and men, or women and women, because
Right.
it's still one female perspective, or
Right.
two men is just the male perspective.
Right.
But when
Right.
you have a man and a female, it is the male's perspective and female's perspective coming together to be just one huge perspective.
Right. 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 No, I like that. I think that's what it is, right? If you weren't doing sales and you were doing dance, do you think you still be the same? Like you still have the same outlook? Because dance is more like, I like dance as like an analogy when it comes to leadership. You know what I mean? Because like if because you're Dominican, right? So like there's the bachata and there's like, what's the other one? There's like two different Dominican dances.
Bachata, merengue, salsa, there's a whole bunch.
There's a whole bunch, right? But in all of those dances, the men are leading, right? And it's like it's kind of like you expect the man to lead. So like, would you have the same say you never stepped into sales and that you went all the way in on like dance, right? Would you still have the same perspective?
No. I
No,
would
why
definitely
not?
would not. I mean, I still dance. I'm a dancer. I will be a dancer to the day I die.
Yeah.
I'm still dancing. I'm still teaching. I still do some gigs here and there, but
Okay.
dance does not pay the bills. So that's why I started veering off. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Right.
It's fun, yes, and you get
Yeah.
out there, you get clout or whatever, but that's not gonna pay the bills. That's not gonna build financial wealth.
Right.
So I had to say, okay, I know the life that I want to live. Is dance gonna get me here? No, but I can use something else to give me the life I want to live, that's going to open more opportunities for me to go and dance. Okay, because
Gotcha.
everything is going to just always tie in together for me.
Yeah.
Dance, and then, my dance will always be in my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But like I said, dance does not pay the bills, and that's why I went into sales, and looking into other jobs. But if I would have continued with just dance, if that was like my passion, like this is what I'm gonna do for the living for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
I would have been, I've would have been doing great. I feel like I don't want to, I hate to brag and I hate to toot my own horn, but I'm a
Yeah.
great dancer. And when I
Right.
go to auditions, I get the part,
Yeah.
So I already gone and did dances with and performances with big artists. So if I would have continued, I probably would have been on tour with artists
Yeah.
and made the right connections in the city. I still have good connections out there that would have taken me to these places of like being on tour, dancing for, the nightlife. I did that too. Like it's it's a whole new world, but it was a world that was not going to pay the bills, that was not
Right.
going to give me financial freedom. I was still going to be a slave. I
Yeah.
mean, I would have been a happy slave because I'm dancing for a living. I love being on stage and performing
Right.
for people. But it's still, if I wouldn't be in charge of my own time, and that's what I'm after. I'm after
Gotcha.
taking back my time, that if I say I don't want to work, I don't want to fucking work. And that's
Yeah.
it. And
Because you don't
my
have
bank
to.
account and my livelihood will not get affected by it just because I said that, you know?
Nice. Yeah. Yeah,
But
for sure.
I'm still a dancer. Dance will always be in my life.
Yeah.
I still do it, teach it, and do some gigs here, but the goal is different. The
Yeah.
goal is different now that I've entered real estate, and
Nice.
the opportunities are greater
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
if I would have just stayed focused on dance as being my main career.
Yeah. Would you, okay, so like when you mentioned dance, right? It's like there's people who are like Diana the dancing realtor comes to mind,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
And it's like it's part of like your charm, it's part of like your charisma, it's part of like who you are because you love it, it's fun,
I
right?
love it.
Right. I think it's fun too. I just don't dance, right? I need to learn.
Everybody can dance.
No, I can, but I'm like not as good as you probably, right? Okay. When when you say for a realtor branding and marketing themselves, what advice would you give for a realtor to brand and market themselves to be more attractive to the, whether it's a buyer or to a seller or even to referral partnerships, right? Because you're pretty good at branding and marketing yourself. What are some like top tips you'd share?
Thank you. I kind of honestly, I'm just myself, to be honest. That's the
Yeah,
best that I can give. I wouldn't have expected a comment like you're good at marketing yourself. I just, thank you, but I'm just being myself. I'm just
yeah,
trying to get my name out there, showing I'm trying to, because I have like my Instagram for real estate, and then I
yeah.
have my personal Instagram where
Ah, okay.
I showcase more of my family and my dancing. And I also have a
Yeah,
separate dance Instagram as well. But
yeah,
like everybody has always told me, don't do that, Diana. People want to see who you are. So that's why I'm integrating a little bit more of who I am into my
right.
real estate Instagram with the dancing. But I still trying to keep it very professional, like dancing that ties into real estate.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
if you can do that, be yourself and give value, make sure that you let your audience know that you are educated and know what you're doing, then
Yeah,
that's what you got to do. And then try to stick with the trends, make sure you stay active and current.
yeah.
That's the best advice I can give.
Yeah. So you're not even intentional about marketing. You're just having a good
um
time, just being yourself.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
even intentional.
Nice. Okay. No, that's important. Be yourself, right? Like, don't try too hard. People like authenticity. People like people who are real.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think it's easier to do that now than it used to be back in the day, right?
Hmm.
Everybody was like infomercials, and then you're like, it was a little harder.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you affected by like NAR, the real estate and any of that, like buyer's agency agreement? Like, how are you navigating that right now?
Well, primarily, I mean, it's whatever. To me,
It's
I mean,
whatever.
it's what honestly,
Yeah.
it is whatever. It is
Yeah.
whatever to me. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to be a listing agent primarily, and that's like my focus. I mean, listing agents won't get as affected by it. If you're a buyer's agent, it will affect you. But if
Yeah.
you bring the value that you are supposed to bring to your buyer, they're gonna want to pay for that value. And if they don't want to pay for it, then they don't want to pay for it. That's it. You don't want to work with them. And that's
Right.
it. I think it's gonna now also, weed out the realtors that are kind of like, lacking in the game, but it's also gonna
Yeah.
weed out a lot of buyers that aren't serious in the game.
Right.
So I feel like it could be a really good thing or it can be a really bad thing depending on how you look at it. And plus,
Right.
like I said, I've always wanted to be a listing agent, and that is my what I'm working to be primarily a listing agent anyways. So it kind
Yeah.
of just like kind of lights a fire in my ass, like, yeah, now you really got to do it.
Now you really got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you have full control. Yeah.
Hmm.
And 9 out of 10 times buyers is going to come to you anyways if they can't
Yes,
find the right
exactly.
buyer's
And
agent.
I'll work
Right.
with them if they're willing to pay. And if you're
Yeah.
willing
Yeah.
to pay, then we'll work together, and I'm sure you're gonna get your money's worth and more.
And
To the
more.
buyers out there.
Yeah. So you're ready for whatever, right? Like it doesn't
I'm
even
ready for
matter.
whatever.
Yeah, it's more the same, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. How far do you go with this? Like, do you see yourself having an agency? Do you see yourself hiring agents? Like, how far do you go with this? When I talk to agents, a lot of them, they kind of just want to make a quick buck. And it's like they'll do a deal, go on a vacation, go on a deal, go on a vacation. But then it's like, you get so many relationships. And then when you get really good, you get agents chasing you because they want to work with you. So how far do you go with this? Is this like a stepping stone for you? Is this like the beginning of world domination? Like, how far do you go with this?
Okay, so it is a stepping stone for me. Again, real estate's open so many different doors. The door
Yeah.
that I want to go to next, um, is the investor. So
Oh,
yes, I'm a
nice.
real
All right.
estate agent, but I am now stepping into the real estate investor side because that's
Yeah.
where it's really at, honestly. So
Uh-huh.
I just purchased my first investment home, and
Yeah.
I'm going to use the knowledge that I have from being a real estate agent to keep purchasing more and more and
Nice.
more and build a portfolio and become a real estate investor. So that is
Yeah.
the goal, because that will open the financial freedom, the generational wealth that I'm trying to build. Had I not been in real estate, I wouldn't have known any of this. And it's a little bit upsetting sometimes where I'm like, fuck, I wish I knew this before I had kids when I was young and energetic and active and all that. right now, I probably maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Right.
But I'm so thankful that I learned everything that I learned, because some people just, never learn it and
Yeah.
don't know how to get out of the rat race. At least I
Right.
found the door out of the rat race. So now I'm trying to go into that, but I also want to help other agents that are looking to do the same thing, help other people. Like if they don't want to become an agent, but they want to see how they're able to get financial freedom through real
Yeah.
estate, I want to help. So my goal is just to take all this knowledge that I'm getting and
Yeah.
share it. And for whoever wants to grasp it and put it into play and practice and better their lives, I'm willing to go into that with them.
Yeah.
So that's what it is for me. So the bottom line is just financial freedom and generational wealth, and real estate is a great vehicle to do that.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I keep hearing you say. You're pretty consistent about like recapturing your time, financial freedom. These are the reasons why you stick with real estate, why you got into real estate, so you can create your own future, right? It's interesting too, because like where would it have come from, right? I think you mentioned your parents are Dominican and you grew up, you were born in Puerto Rico. So like there's always going to be somebody who's going to start a new cycle in a generation, and you're that person. Like you're her at this point. Right?
I am
It's
her.
like, yeah, you got to be her, right? Because you're bringing this new vehicle to build generational wealth, right, through real estate, and you're willing to share it all. When I was coming up, nobody would share. It was kind of like
No.
you got to figure it out, right? And nobody would share anything. It was like the game was to be sold and not told. And today
Mhm.
there's so many crumbs, breadcrumbs. It's like you just got to follow the breadcrumbs and you can
Mhm.
start building your generational wealth. You can start building
Yeah.
your empire, right? And I'm sure that's what you're working on now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's people out there that will share knowledge. There's people out there that won't, that want to keep it all to themselves. I'm like, why? But
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk
Well,
to those people.
because they're
Talk to
like
the
they
people
got
that
that.
are willing to share.
Yeah. Say it again.
I said, talk to the people that are willing to share.
Yeah, talk to the people that are willing to share for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Diana, you're amazing. You're awesome. I have a
You.
question really quick before we get off. Top three questions for you, kind of like a speed round, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you ready? So being
Ready.
Dominican, merengue, bachata, or salsa? Which do you prefer to
Bachata.
dance? Bachata.
Bachata. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Um, Morning person or night person? Night owl.
Okay. I am a night owl, but I'm trying to break that. Oh my God. I'm trying to be a morning person so bad. I want to wake up. I want to conquer my day so bad.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that I'm working on myself, is just switching over to being a morning person.
Okay. Yeah. And last one, are you afraid of AI taking over real estate and no longer being necessary as an agent?
No,
No,
I'm not
not at
afraid.
all.
I'm not afraid. No.
No. Yeah.
No, you
Okay.
can't get personal with an AI. Like maybe I mean, I've heard that people are marrying robots nowadays and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
none of my
Yeah.
business. But in my
Right.
opinion, it's
Yeah.
better when you have a real human helping you with what which understands human needs, and that really has their vested interest in you and succeeding and in your goals. But if AI does come over and take over the real estate agent role, it's fine because I'm already a real estate investor, so it's okay.
I like that. The mic drop. I like that. That was slick. I like how you did that. It's like it's all good. I'm on to the next anyways, right?
Okay, I'm not staying here long. I'm just
Yeah.
passing by visiting.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Well, Diana, what is your bottom line, right? As when you think about your reoccurring truth every single day that gets you out of bed, right? Gets you out in the trenches, makes you deal with all the BS that comes at you on a daily basis. What is your bottom line?
My bottom line is just the lifestyle that I want to live. My bottom line is something that I've been saying on here over and over: financial freedom and generational wealth. That is
Yeah.
my bottom line.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. Where do people find you, Diana?
You can find me on Instagram. My handle is at your underscore realtor Diana, Dahiana. And yes, it's just pronounced Diana. So that's the
Diana.
best way to contact me.
Nice. Yep. That's where I found you. right?
Yeah.
Check Diana out. She's legit. Her Instagram feed is a ton of fun, right? She reels you in, and then you're gonna have to either buy or sell with her, right? But then, maybe you can pick up some dance moves too while you're at it, right?
I do it all.
Yeah, this was great, Diana. Thanks for taking the time. You're amazing. Feel free to reach out to Diana, follow her here, right? And then we will catch you on the next one, ladies and gents. This was the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. See you next time.
Thank you.
Yes.